Well, yeah, how are you going to get rid of it all? No, it's just sometimes I'll listen to podcasts and someone will be eating something. You can tell because it's like, you get the little mouth mushy noise. Like, what's that? Is it MDR or whatever? What's the sound thing you get? You know, that's what it was.
ASMR. Okay,
yeah, and
okay,
it's like this. I didn't. This is a music podcast. I didn't really want to hear you swallow your muffin. You know what I mean? Anyway.
The professional like recordings is they have like a cough button, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're coughing or you're making any kind of sound,
you have your own too in control of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like you know you're making noise and you're like, hey,
that's big time. So
yeah, this is pretty advanced technology. Just having a little arm here.
I call that button, for me it's post. In post, I'll hit that button, and that's usually me in front of a computer screen with headphones on for 3 hours mixing anyway. I'm like a stickler for editing too. Like some people can, some I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying some people will just hit record and just put out what's on and be like, okay, there's the file, looks all good, levels seem fine, and they'll just eyeball it. And then you kind of listen to it and it's a little wonky and levels are. I can't do that. I'm kind of nuts about it.
But that, like you mean like you're editing like the actual like volume, like as a person says a sentence, like let's up that, and then they speak a little bit louder and you turn it down and stuff.
Yeah, I get crazy about it. Like it's an hour-long audio clip, right?
Yeah.
And you know how it starts out with the full color bars of just like the audio goes across?
Yeah. I
should honestly sometimes I should just for fun just show the before and after because it's just solid colors, and then when I'm done it's like I don't know, it's fun for me, sort of. It's tedious, but it's also when I listen to it later, like I'll meticulously sit there and go backwards and take out like or if I edit something together and someone exhales but they inhale and the next time it goes, I'll have to it's like someone's going to notice that and they're going to know there's like trickery going on here.
But so how long would it take you, let's say you have an hour-long interview, how long would it take you to edit it?
Double that, I'd probably.
Okay, that's not too bad.
I've gotten pretty good at it, though.
Yeah, okay.
In the beginning, where I was learning as I went, it would be an afternoon process, right? And that's probably where I got the bad habits from. Not bad habits, but the habits I have now of being really meticulous about stuff. Because when I started, I thought I had to do that, where it was just like, oh, I got to... Where I probably could have let certain sentences or certain things... Like, it's not completely hacked up. It's still like the actual conversation. I'm not manipulating what anybody said.
The actual
content, but it's all about just sound quality for me and what little noises and little blips and weird things are. Say, you ask someone a question and they do that kind of long, and it's for me like maybe in the normal conversation people will be like, yeah, okay, that's the normal amount of time. For me, it's like, why didn't he say something? So I just and I squeeze it together. So it's like, so what's the question? And you're like, da 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 da. It's like right away.
So that's like an ethical question though too. Is that I listen to like CBC podcasts and stuff, and sometimes when I'm listening, they ask a question and it goes silent, and I think that my headphones have been unplugged and they stopped because when your headphones get unplugged, it stops playing the podcast on my phone. And then I realized no, that they left the silent pause in there for like dramatic effect. Yeah, so it's like sometimes like the hesitation is part of the answer.
That's fair, and I know what you mean by ethical. I will never change the context of what somebody says.
Yeah,
I won't switch the words around. I won't make it sound like something else. You know?
I shouldn't use the word ethical because I don't think it's a manipulation of like of their intent. But yeah.
It's like I said, the conversation in whole is intact. The person's point, whatever they say. Yeah. I just get rid of the weird little awkward dead air places and the weird little noises, like when people do that type of stuff. And that's what I mean, you know. But hey, if you come on Ego and Vice, the podcast, what you say will be what you say. It'll just be really, really nicely cleaned background wise. Yeah, because I'm often like stuttering and going, so and I'm trying to figure out how to ask a question, and like I find myself editing those parts out. Yeah. Do you do that too, or because it doesn't affect me? Sometimes I will re-record a question.
Really? Yeah.
But I'm the one who says it. It's the same question. Sometimes I'll say it really stupid. Yeah. And I'll listen back to it. And I'm like, I hate that, so I'll kind of delete it and I'll ask the same question, but it'll be worded properly.
So you have a microphone like in front of you when you're editing, so you can Oh man.
Yeah, I'm out of my mind when it comes to stuff like that.
It sounds like that would take more than 2 hours to edit an hour podcast. So I guess maybe you're efficient. Yeah.
I know what I'm doing now. Like I know my little tricks and I know what I'm looking for. And now with the gear I have, there's definitely less of stuff I need to cut out because I kind of have everything set up the way I like it as well, right? So
okay.
Like I started Ego and Vice with a rock band. Remember the game Rock Band?
Yeah,
the video game.
You started it. Wait, I was going to ask you this question, but okay, all right. So you're getting into it.
Yeah.
You started it with the game Rock Band.
No, well, sort of. I started it with. I don't even know. I was with a friend, and just out of the blue, I asked them. I said, "Hey, you want to start a podcast?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay, let's do it. How do you do it?" I don't know how to do it. I had a friend out of Montreal. Who had a podcast, just like a pop culture kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I used to listen to it, and it was awful. I won't say what it was, but it was just whatever. And
they'll know who they are, but yeah.
Yeah. The reason I used the Rock Band microphone because it was the only thing I had with a USB, which I could just plug directly into my computer.
Yeah.
And I just used, I think it was like GarageBand on my Mac, where I didn't have any. So I have software now where I could just kind of hit play, and it just. I had no interface or anything, so everything was peaking and leveling and all kind of crazy. I didn't know how to edit or anything. That was when it was just a solid thing. But I had the Rock Band microphone. I didn't have anything fancy like this. I had a box cheese grater, like the big with the grates and it stands. It was the only thing that was freestanding. So I put the box cheese grater and I put the Rock Band microphone on top and I hockey taped it on the thing. And when she was the co-host and I'd put the mic here and we'd talk. We'd have to bend over the coffee table because it had no swivel or adjustment or anything. We'd talk into it. So how is it going? And then we'd have to move it over. And she'd be like, good. And then we'd move it back over.
Okay, wait a second. So one day you're like, let's start a podcast. Yeah. What inspired you to what was what was going on in your head, I guess?
Why does one start a podcast? I don't know. Funny thing is that I didn't really listen to a lot of podcasts either. Like I said, I just had a friend that did one.
Yeah.
And I was kind of curious about like, how do you do that? And I've always been I talk a lot. So and me and my friend, we were kind of pop culture. Because the very first podcast I was like, we put together, it was called the Ohio and Irish Show. I used to use this goofy stage handle. It was Ohio Jones, and her nickname was Irish.
Okay.
So it was the Ohio and Irish Show. And we just kind of copied what my buddy did. We just talked about like pop culture. It's like, so how about that new Star Wars movie? You know what I mean? And we discuss it and stuff. So,
but that was not the original episodes of Ego and Vice.
Ego and Vice kind of evolved from this. This is like the early. This is probably 2000. This is about 2 years probably before I started Ego and Vice.
2016 then maybe?
About 2015, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. We did the Ohio and Irish Show for about 35 episodes maybe, but that was over like a year and a half.
So you were literally having a conversation where you had to move the mic back and forth between each other.
No, I really, really got into it. I was just like, this is great because we were actually posting. I was using, the host, the first host I was using was Buzzsprout. Was it Buzzsprout or Pod something? Anyway, but I ended up using the host Podomatic.
Yeah.
And back then it was like in the top 5 of podcasting hosts. Now they're not in the top 10 anymore, but I still use them because I'm used to it and I know them and stuff. But anyway, I got Ohio and Irish on that podcasting host, and it was where it felt like a real thing. So I went out to Long and McQuaid and I bought microphones and stands and my interface and all that stuff. And then I slowly started kind of building it from there.
Yeah.
But Ohio and Irish wasn't really what I wanted to do because I figured the last thing the world needs is another pop culture podcast, talking about the last Zelda game, which is fine, if that's what you want to talk about. But
yeah,
I always wanted to. There's a podcast out of Chicago from a guy named Ryan Young. He's in a band he is the band Off With Their Heads. I don't know if you ever heard that band.
It rings a bell, but yeah. Anyway,
he has a podcast and it's called Anxious and Angry.
Okay,
and that's a super DIY podcast. And what he used to do, he used to just have his friends from Minneapolis or Chicago on, the band people.
Yeah.
and he'd have them on, and they would just sit there for an hour and just talk about, so what's going on with your band? And I branched off from the Ohio and Irish show. They overlapped for a bit, and then I started doing Ego and Vice, and I just kind of followed Ryan Young's from Anxious and Angry's kind of formula, like intro, little catchy intro music, little monologue, I guess, and then a conversation with a band.
Yeah, okay.
And it just kind of rolled from there, and I just kind of kept doing it that way.
Okay, so what was the transition between I'm sorry, was it called Irish and what? Sorry,
the Ohio and Irish show.
The Ohio and Irish show. Like how did that end? And then Ego and Vice began.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I was kind of overlapping. I was kind of doing double duty a bit because I was still doing the Ohio and Irish show. But nobody was listening to that. We were just doing that for fun.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was listening to it. If anyone has ever heard of that show ever, please let somebody know. But me and the person had kind of a falling out.
Oh, okay.
So we stopped doing that, but I had started Ego and Vice already. I was probably maybe 10 episodes in.
Yeah.
So when we kind of had the falling out, I just kept going with Ego and Vice and dropped that whole.
And what does Ego and Vice mean? That title.
I think you'll appreciate this, actually. Okay. And I don't know if I should say it, but
is it about me?
No, it's about Weezer, actually.
Oh, cool. That's neat.
Okay, I used to be in a band called Arm Mistake.
And you say Arm
Mistake. It was like RM.
Oh, Arm Mistake. Okay, gotcha.
Mistake. It was the initials of myself and the other songwriter plus Mistake. It was just one of those band names that wasn't really planned. It just happened, and then we're like, I guess that's our band name. Anyway.
Yeah.
We were together from 2003 to 2008 in Ottawa. But anyway.
Okay.
But I wrote a song called Ego and Vice, and the band called Our Mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And where I got Ego and Vice from was in like the 90s. Rivers Cuomo had an interview, and some reporter asked him, or whoever, said, "What's the secret to your longevity or your success?" And he looked at the camera and he said, "Ego and Vice."
Really?
Yeah.
Meaning that the ego part was driving him, and then the vices were like sort of motivating him to keep going.
Sure.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Okay.
whatever it meant to him struck a chord with me because I liked the two words together.
Yeah.
And I liked the idea of it, especially when it comes to anything music-wise or anything. I don't know, if you're somewhat successful or out in the public eye doing anything.
Yeah.
Whether you're a musician, an actor, a comedian, a content creator, I think to a certain degree there's a little bit of ego there.
Okay.
Maybe there will be eventually. And then there's vice, which could be addiction to, or just something that's got you, right? When maybe it's fame, maybe it's substance, maybe it's something. But it kind of drives a person, but it's also neat where it could be the downfall of something as well. So it's like double-edged, I guess. And I just think the two words sound good together. And it really worked well because my friends, or Ryan Young at Chicago, his podcast, Anxious and Angry, because I kind of followed that one. Anxious and Angry, Ego and Vice. It just kind of fit the bill for me. It was just okay, now I can totally rip this guy off. I've sent him links though. Ryan Young, I've met him like 3 times.
Oh, cool.
He's a nice guy. We've had email correspondence, and I've sent him links. Whether he's checked it out, because he doesn't really care much about it. He's whatever, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of like a tall glass. To like send someone like a like hour-long thing to check out.
Yeah, but I've said I kind of like you just kind of loosely say I kind of ripped your formula. Not that he had a formula. It's like a podcast. It's like I have guests on and I do like a monologue.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's his formula, but I did kind of follow that model, and it's changed a bit now because I've kind of developed my own thing, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So like in developing a monologue, like. Are you writing things beforehand, or are you just going off the cuff?
It's basically, I've always wanted Ego and Vice to be about the guest that's on.
Yeah.
But it's also, I give myself maybe 3 to 4 minutes at the very beginning, like after the theme music plays, and I'm like, hey, this is Mike, this is whatever. I give myself maybe 3 or 4 minutes to kind of have my little moment, because I don't do a lot of social media. I don't post on Instagram other than the band stuff or podcast stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of private when it comes to my private life. So that is kind of a little outlet where I can just say, hey, this is what I've been up to. This is what I'm doing, that to a certain, whatever. So it makes me feel like I'm communicating with the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
On somewhat of a personal level, but not too personal, because it's still in a context of a podcast, right? So.
Well, what was like, how do I say this? Like your mission statement, like creating the podcast?
For Ego and Vice, it was to just, like, I've been in the Ottawa music scene since 98. I moved here in 98 from Thunder Bay.
Okay.
I had a band in Thunder Bay, which I actually transferred over here. I had my drummer was here. And through the whole time that I've been in Ottawa, I've been in bands and I've been involved in the music scene, all the different weird little peaks and valleys of it over the years. And I think as I got older and when I started doing the podcast, it was like, what would be a good thing? Like I said, my friend's podcast, he interviewed bands.
Yeah.
And when I started doing Ego and Vice, I started having guests on. And I guess the mission statement, to get back to your question, long way around, is that I wanted to kind of not giving back seems so like schmaltzy, but I wanted to kind of do something for the bands that I knew, give them a platform. And I always say, like, if you go on YouTube, you can find a podcast with like the guitarist from like Billy Talent or something.
Yeah.
But then if you really search real deep, you'll find 10 more like it. Do you know what I mean?
It's more like being interviewed the same guest, or
that's what I mean, or that style of guest where it's like somebody famous, somebody who's already in the spotlight. And I thought it would be a really cool idea, like Stoby. Like it'd be like I Google Stoby, I can't find a Stoby podcast anywhere.
Yeah, okay.
And there's not like a ton of research or not a ton of history on local bands, right? It's hard to find. Trust me, I do it every week. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
So I said, how cool it would be for like bands, like local bands, to have that kind of stage to use as show to their friends, show to their mom, use as like a demo reel. And if people just want to know about a local band that they saw last night, when they Google it, hey, say I was randomly at the Rainbow last night and I saw a band called Stoby, or I saw a band called Class of 91.
Yeah.
You can Google it and all of a sudden it pops up, podcast, Ego and Vice. Oh, now they can listen to an hour about the band. Even if they skim through it, you might get some information. So that's what Ego and Vice turned out to be.
Yeah.
The mission statement, sure, I'd love to say that's exactly what it was from the beginning, but I would have loved to have that when I was coming up in like 1999 in the city. Someone pull me across and say, hey, you're a shitty band, want to be on my podcast? I'd been absolutely, right? So if I can offer local bands maybe something that people aren't offering.
But I mean, like, so you're suggesting that it evolved over time then? Your original like idea was different.
Well, not really. I think it's
okay. Sorry, I misunderstood what you were saying there. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm all over the place. Like
okay.
I try and anyway, but no, I don't think I think it's just gotten better.
Okay, so more focused, I guess. Like
that's a good term. That's a good word, yeah.
Like maybe you weren't quite, like you knew you wanted to do something about bands, but you weren't quite sure what it was going to be, and as you did it, it kind of became.
I think with anything, you start off and you do your best, and then you look back at, you think it's good at the time, and then 5 years later, you look back compared to what you're doing now, and you'll be like, ooh.
Yeah, that's like life in general. Right?
Yeah, I guess so. That is life for sure. But yeah, for me, it was. I started with the same intentions I have now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a little bit more focused. I'm a little bit more routine now. I know kind of what I want to do and how much I want to.
How do you like pick like who you're going to interview? How does that work?
I do a lot of like music searching, like trying to find music online and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Spotify, YouTube.
But you have to pick bands that are from Ottawa, right? Like,
yes.
Can you search Ottawa bands through Spotify?
After I've been kind of, I'll always, okay, it's almost like you'll find one which will open up a door for a lot.
Okay.
So probably the better question is, how do you find that? No, I guess it's the same question. Like, how do you find the one band? Like, Positive Charge was in.
Yeah.
Probably last summer.
I'll be interviewing them tonight, actually. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I've known Gary, the drummer.
Okay.
He's from Thunder Bay. I've known him since I was a kid.
Oh, crazy. Okay.
We've both known each other. We used to play in bands in Thunder Bay.
Oh, crazy.
He was in a band called Head Cramp. Ask him about Head Cramp. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. So I think Positive Charge was in. And like I said, I've known Gary. I've played with Rich in Positive Charge. I played an acoustic show with him like years ago. I've always had little shows with him with my band.
Yeah.
And stuff. And I had them in and Andrew LaSalle.
Yeah. Okay.
And coming out of the pandemic, I was looking for more people because during the pandemic, I didn't have any guests in just because I felt like everyone kind of had the same story. And
yeah, well, you were saying that when I was talking to you that I thought you kind of changed the format up during the pandemic, right?
I went back, yeah, because it was the same. It was Irish again.
Okay.
Because we kind of, whatever happened before, we came back and she came and co-hosted Ego and Vice through the pandemic, and it became kind of the Ohio and Irish pop culture show times, or take two, like 2.0.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Because it seemed like everyone I was reaching out to, it's like all we would talk about is like I thought it'd be good, like, hey, we can talk about what are you doing during the pandemic, but everyone was doing the same thing during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was kind of bummed out, and I was kind of whatever, and I didn't want to talk to people, so we just turned it back into more of like a topical kind of stretch. So anyway, coming out of the pandemic, I started having guests on again, and I had Andrew on, and I had Positive Charge on most recently with this, and they both started naming off a lot of current bands that came out post-pandemic.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's when I started jotting the names down of like new hires, Neon Ghost House, you guys.
But we were pre-pandemic, but yeah, I guess we were post-pandemic too.
I apologize, but yes, but to be opened up to that, right?
Yeah,
and then you start searching, you start listening to the music, and if you really want to just be kind of creepy, you look who follows certain bands and you find more bands, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's too creepy. I
don't know.
It doesn't sound creepy to me, but I mean.
Yeah, I find it like a band social media site. If you look who follows or who they're following, I think that's a little less personal than if it's like a private page. So
yeah, exactly.
I'll see what bands are affiliated, and then I'll start looking and I'll do some research that way. I'll listen to some music they have out. I'll listen to what they're all about, that type of thing. I don't do like some super heavy vetting, but I want people that are cool. You know what I mean? I don't want anybody who represents anything. You know,
nefarious. I mean,
yeah, I guess so. You know, like
I hope there's not a lot of that in Ottawa. Is there? Do you know? I won't to get into that, but yeah.
On the pot, I haven't found any yet. Okay. Everyone's been pretty great.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So that's how I did that. So if you look back on maybe the last, because I'm in my, I just started my 7th year.
You're on 124 episodes right now. Is that?
I just there was actually more. I used to do a side series called Ego and Vice Spotlight, where I used to do, because I try and stick solely with Ottawa.
Yeah.
But like in the first couple of seasons, like 2017, 2018, 2019, I used to do podcasts with bands from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
I did, just to name a few, like Nihil Osiris from New York City, friends of mine, Voice of Addiction from Chicago.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't think of it, but I had probably about another 20 episodes of the side series. So if you really crunch it all up, it's probably about 150.
Wow. Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah. But after 7 years, it's not that many, really, if you break it down. But it is, because I've taken.
Trying to do the math in my head right now.
But yeah. For me, Ego and Vice is still a hobby.
Yeah.
It's not a business. I try not to get myself too crazy about it either. Maybe the editing, but other than that, like I just came back. I took 2 months off.
Yeah.
Because if you look at my or the episodes from like season 6, the last half from maybe July till December, I was doing a podcast every single week because
the
corner of the scene that Andrew and like Rich kind of said, here, try these bands. I just kept calling, and they were starting to contact me because they heard from somebody else, and I was like, sure. So I was literally doing one every week.
Sounds like a lot, yeah.
And I'm only one person, right? And I'm not used to doing that, so I love it, but I was super burnt out. Like, it got to the point where I was just like, I gotta do this again.
I feel I for one thing, I have to do it when I get this thing set up. I have to like do a whole setup and stuff, right? So like I always try to book at least 2. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's 4, like over 2 days or whatever. So like I'm like probably like a little over 10 over a year. So so I'm like it's work, man.
There's a lot that goes into it. I don't want to go back to the editing, but I get a little crazy about that. But it's like the booking the person, arranging it with them, and then having them come in. Then you do the podcast, and I try not to make every single one of them the same. Like, I don't have like a bullet point of questions. I try to have it just go freely. You know what I mean? And
so how are you in your prep, not your pre-prep, your prep? Like, what are you looking for? Like how are you designing?
Like I said earlier, I really do. I can't. There's not a ton of research to do.
Yeah.
Like, you can go to a streaming site and see when you've released music.
Yeah.
Or you might see something like a Bandcamp where the band itself is written up. We suck. Come check us out. It's like, that's, everyone is just, there's not, if you get lucky, you'll have like a little article in like Faces magazine or something where it's just like tells you a little bit more. So you could pretty much go in cold. But I always figured, the best conversation, I tell everyone whenever they come in, I said, I'm not a professional journalist. Yeah. I won't ask you hard-hitting questions, nor do I know how to. Basically, I'll say, who are you? What do you do? And let's just shoot the shit. There'll always be, so how did the band start? That type of stuff.
Yeah, I get it.
And that's like the origin story. But people, it gives the artist or the band a chance to tell their story,
Yeah.
And I think once people get going, I noticed a switch during the course of the conversation, and people will come in and they're kind of quiet and they're kind of stiff and they're kind of sit there, and you ask them questions and they're vocal about it.
Yeah.
But midway through, they're back in the chair and they're louder and their arms are going and they're having more fun. And once I see that little switch, I know that I think it'll be a good experience for everybody. Okay, and that makes me happy. So, yeah. But there's no real plan. It's just come on in and do the thing.
But how much do you know about the band before they come in?
Not a ton. I listen to I try and 2 days before they come in, I try and listen to their music as much as I can, whether I'm driving or whether I go to the gym or something like that. I'll just have it in there.
Yeah, okay.
Just to kind of get familiar with it. And why would you have a band on if you weren't familiar with their songs? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's basically it. I always talk about the music. I can talk about where'd you record this song in particular. On the way here, I was listening to Match.
Yeah.
Where it's like, from Stobie. It's like you never really, I don't know. I find like your favorite song changes every once in a while, and maybe you will find something that's really exciting, because so I don't know. It's kind of good to go in cold too, because I figure if there was tons of research and stuff like that, then it would come out kind of robotic,
Oh man, okay.
And I want people to feel comfortable. I don't want to feel like they're being grilled or they have to perform or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like when I'm doing it, like I'm listening to like I think like to like at least an EP. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like I play it over and over again and kind of like get familiar with it. Like I guess I feel like I want to get like over prepared, maybe just like I won't necessarily grill them on it, but yeah.
Well, I think if you're gonna have a band in, I think what they want to be known for mainly is their music, right? So if that's the least you know about them, it's probably a great start, right? I know your songs. I've listened to your songs. I'm familiar with your music. It's like you are a musical band, so that's probably the best thing to go on. Tell me about yourselves.
Yeah. Okay.
How's that? Seems to work, right? And it's just like, and everyone has somewhat similar stories. I like how the universe kind of puts people together too, where it's like, oh, I knew Dave back in high school, and then we played in a crappy band, and then I didn't see him for 10 years, and then we bumped into each other at Starbucks, and he had a pin that said, I'm a rock star, and I said, I'm a rock star. That kind of shit. I love that shit. It's like, now we're in a band. So.
Okay, I'm not asking you to name names, but has there ever been like a disaster interview?
I won't say there's been a disaster, but there's been some struggles.
Okay.
Some people come in and they're ready to just go.
Yeah.
And you can tell that they're used to, and sometimes it's you got to pull it out of them a little bit more. Okay. Where I'm halfway through and I'm like, oh.
So they're kind of like reserved and they're not
a little bit.
Is it because they're nervous? Maybe, is that possible?
Could be. Like I said, it usually ends up at the end. It usually works itself out. But when I'm editing through the podcast, sometimes it's like, good thing the ending's there. But everyone's awesome though, and I can imagine it would be because a lot of the bands that I have in, especially some of the Ottawa bands, they're younger too. They're younger people. So to go to someone's house that they don't know, to sit on the couch and have microphones put in their face, and then you don't really know what to expect either. Yeah. So I try and put myself in their shoes a bit. Like I'm the guy that's always on this end of it. So I'm like, this is my house. This is my comfort zone. Yeah. I'm used to doing this. So you take your time. I don't judge anybody for it. But yeah, there's been a couple of hard ones, which were fun. They were still fun. I'm still thankful for it.
It was a fun egg to crack, maybe. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I'll get you. I'll break you. I don't even know. Like, like I said earlier, why does someone start a podcast and how do you do a podcast? Who knows? I don't know if there's rules. Maybe Joe Rogan knows.
I don't know either. I'm not. I kind of just wanted to do this to see if I could. That's all basically it was.
It's a challenge, right?
Yeah, it's a challenge. I think I had the technology and I was going to see if it was possible.
Yeah. It's exciting too. It's just for me too. And I tell people this too. As I've gotten older, I can't go. Well, I choose not to go out as much.
Yeah.
I don't drink anymore. Yeah, so that was a big part of before. It was the show. So the social part of it was just going out, having beers, getting ripped and going to shows and stuff. And now it's more, I don't really want to put myself in certain situations. I don't want to it's just harder for me to go out. So I use Ego and Vice now, even though I've been doing it for 7 years, because I did it when I was drinking too. But now it's more of a way to kind of stay tied into what's going on.
Yeah, okay.
But also kind of give back a little, participate.
Yeah, okay.
In what's happening in Ottawa. Because I think there's lots of different corners that make a music scene or something kind of go around, and not all of them are standing in the crowd or on stage. Sometimes, it's the best parts, but sometimes a lot of us can't do it. But
have you observed any difference between the Ottawa music scene pre-COVID and post-COVID?
Yeah, not from a performing point of view though. Mainly through secondhand stories of the bands that I have in, or just seeing it. Like, you'd be crazy to not notice it. Like, if you want to be somewhat involved in the music scene, just how active it is right now. Before, like, I was in a band. Well, I'm still in a band. It's more of a recording project now because I don't have any band members. But I was in a band called Goat from 2011 till 2018. And we were, we were pretty active. Like we played Ottawa a lot. We toured a lot, and we were a punk band, just kind of like a gritty punk band.
Yeah.
And it was hard to get people out to shows, local people. And now it used to be like the I don't know if it was a joke, but it was kind of like that thing. It's like it's the hardest place to play shows is like Ottawa because nobody comes out, right?
Yeah.
It's like you go to Montreal and you get more people who don't know you than you do in Ottawa, people that do know you. And that was what it was like before. And it was hard. Maybe, and I've been in different cycles of the scene for the last 25 years. And it is peaks and valleys for sure. But pre-pandemic, yeah, it was not as alive as it is now.
Okay.
I think there's been a great resurgence of local music and the want to see it. I think the bands and the talent have always been there.
Yeah.
And maybe the people have too, but now it's just, I'm glad that everyone is benefiting from it and everyone's out supporting it. And yeah, the Ottawa music scene is alive and well.
Is it possible that there's like a lot of pent up energy during the pandemic and it kind of got released? So, you know what I mean?
Who knows?
Okay.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, 98 to now, 26 years, I've seen peaks and valleys in the aughts between like 2004, 2009 in Ottawa, when 88.5, the radio station, they had New Cap Radio, they had the Big Money Shot.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That was like kind of similar to what's happening now, where there was tons of local bands came out of the woodwork and there was tons of places to play, and everybody was supporting everybody. Prior to that phase, when I first came here between 98 and 2002, before or whenever, same thing. It was kind of like pulling teeth to get people out. Then there was this huge explosion of local music, and it was big and crazy, and we rode the wave for as long as we could. Going into the 2010s and early teens, kind of died down again. That's when, like, maybe the first couple years of Goat from 2011, 2013, it was kind of active, but you see it. It's just the way it goes. It's the way it happens. And then it was kind of quiet for a while. Pandemic just absolutely stalled everything. And I think it was a natural progression plus the pandemic where everyone didn't have it. So that it just blew out the other end, right? That's my take on it from my experience. But yeah, just anyone who's in the scene right now, support it, enjoy it. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't go on forever. Yeah. But if it dies down, it doesn't mean you got to just keep banging away, right?
Just a side question. Do you ever hear the band For the Mathematics?
Sounds familiar.
Okay, so I was thinking they're around 2003, 2004, but I don't know if they were part of that wave or not. But
it could have been For the Math. Were they like punk? Were they punk?
They were kind of like math rock. They were kind of like,
I was going to say math. Yeah,
like at the drive-in kind of sounding. Anyway, I saw them at Zaphod's a few times, but I thought maybe that was part of the.
It could have been. I remember there was a band like that, the math rock one with I can't remember what his name was, but I just remember the live shows were bananas and they were like so technically good. Yeah. And just remember the bass player used to run up to the front of the stage and hold his bass up like this. It was crazy. He had like a 5-string bass and it was like, and they were so tight. That name will come to me at like in the middle of the night. I'll just sit up in bed and but yeah. I don't know. Ottawa's always had a music scene. It's amazing now. It's great for the bands. It's great for the podcasts. Yeah. And it's great for the crowd.
For the future. Yeah. So I guess you like separate your podcast into seasons. You're on season 7?
7.
Are they separated by years or how are they separated?
They're separated from those breaks I take.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, I just got back I went snowboarding. I needed to unwind and I just put away all my shit, turned off all my stuff. Yeah. And on my free time, instead of sitting in front of a computer chopping up sound bites, I went to a mountain. And that signified to me that was season 6. It's done. There's the 6th kind of push that I did, right? Mm-hmm. And if you look back through since 2017, I guess it's done within 365-day kind of chunks, right? But it's not like TV show. It's like where a TV show will end on like May and come back in September. Yeah, I'm just random when I have to leave. I have to leave, and I will. I'll take off for a while.
You're like HBO, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, when's the 3rd season of The Sopranos? We don't know. Yeah, like I think season 3 was like 5 episodes or something.
Oh, okay.
Like the pandemic, I think that was season 5, actually, the pandemic. Yeah. And it was, I took like a 4-month break. I don't know. I look at the dates and it's all chopped up. So this is as active as I've been consistently since the beginning.
Okay.
I was pretty consistent when I first started because I was super gung-ho to do it.
Yeah.
And then so now I'm kind of more back. And season 7 I'm really excited about that. I just had Backseat Dragon on. They were my season 7 premiere.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I had talked to Carrie before. She was supposed to be in season 6.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be in season 6, pardon me. But we had some scheduling problems. So we got in contact again, and I said, you should come on. You'll be season premiere of season 7. And they said, absolutely. So, and next week I can't give away who I have on.
Well, I'm not sure this is going to be released, so maybe you can.
Okay, next week I have Kingfisher, the band Kingfisher.
Okay, I've heard of them, yeah.
And then I have Root Cause.
Oh, I know Root Cause, yeah.
Yeah, these episodes have already been recorded.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty much booked up till mid-May.
Okay, well, yeah.
So season 7 might be short. I might go. I may have to take a break for the summer. Who knows?
Yeah, because like the way this is being released is that like, I'm not. Yeah, so the next thing I'm releasing is like I interviewed a band from Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. That's me for February, and then Positive Charge for March. Mm-hmm. So my release date's kind of a little bit more like it takes a lot more longer to like it takes. I shouldn't say it takes a lot more longer. Like dealing with video is kind of a pain in the ass. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do video because I have enough trouble doing the audio because there's only so much time, and because I release every week, right? And there's only so much time in a week with my life, my job, my relationship, and just daily responsibilities. If I introduce video and kept the same schedule, something's gonna give. You know what I mean? So I've worked the audio, the Ego and Vice kind of formula into my week where it gives me, I get the person on, gives me a week to edit and tinker around with it, release it, all that stuff. Yeah. One thing I did do on my time off is that I created a website because I had a lot of people asking me where they could listen to the podcast, where they could find it, because some people didn't use Spotify, some people only use YouTube. And I'm only one person and you try to keep up. So I have a website now. It's called egoandvicepodcast.com. Okay. And it has links. It has all the episodes there. You can listen to it right on the site. It has links to every streaming site I'm available in. It has links to the YouTube. It has...
Is it Ego and the word "and" is spelled...
It's all letters. Okay, Eagle and Device podcast.com. It's I'm posting it with everything I do now just because hopefully it'll just eliminate the where can I listen type of thing. Yeah, okay. I get that a lot. I get like emails and stuff, and it's like I don't use Spotify. It's too expensive. And well, I don't know what to tell you. And now I finally have a YouTube channel too, so that's.
So it's the audio on YouTube, right? Okay.
It's a still picture.
Yeah, okay. Gotcha.
No audio.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
No video. Mm-hmm. But that was good. That was all through my podcast host where it's just you connect the RSS feed and it basically connects everything to everything. Yeah, okay, yeah. It's amazing. Technology's awesome if you want to do that. Before it seemed overwhelming and the website was the best way to fix that. I call it like it's like my headquarters. It's like everything's there. I never have to go anywhere else. Yeah. And everything I do just dumps into that automatically. Brilliant.
Just as a side note, I've noticed that you've had Jesse Brewer and Angela Sell on a few times. Mm-hmm. Do you know them personally, or just like you invited them on multiple times?
Yeah, I'm friends with Jesse. I'm friends with Andrew. First time I ever saw Andrew was at. He'd probably remember it. It was an open mic. Yeah. And he played 3 songs, and he had that Seafoam Fender guitar. Do you remember that? It was it was gorgeous. It was this bright Seafoam. I don't, you know what it's like? Yeah, it's like turquoise almost.
It's like very light though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I went up to him after. It may have been at Live on Elgin. Okay. He did an open mic, and I went up to him and I said, "That was great," because the songs they were good. And I said, "Are you in a band? Are you doing this?" He said, "Yeah, I have a band called Holy Christopher." I'm like, "Have you played any shows yet?" And he's like, No, I haven't. I'm just doing open mics and stuff. We just got together. And I kept in touch, and Goat was playing a show with Voltang at the Rainbow. This is probably 2000. Who knows? 2000 something. And I called Andrew and I said, hey, would you like to open the show?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
And that I don't know, but I think that was their first show ever.
Oh, nice.
I think that's what it was.
Okay.
And we've been friends ever since. Like we don't hang out that much, but we always have correspondence. He's been on the he was on the show earlier.
Yeah.
He was just on the show recently. We just did a Ego and Vice. I do an acoustic series, just a live acoustic show that I try and raise funds for the Ottawa Humane Society.
Okay.
I do that once a year, and I invited Andrew to do sound, and he came out and did sound for us.
Oh, cool.
Jesse Brewer, it was kind of the same thing. We did some gig swapping with a band called Voice of Addiction, another 2000 ago. And the Fly Downs, his band, were supposed to play, and Voice of Addiction couldn't get across the border, and me and Jesse ran into each other, and I just said to him, keep in touch, just always keep in touch. We'll just always talk, because he's a super cool guy, and we've been friends since. And yeah, he opened I got them a gig at, I don't know if this was the first Fly Down show. It was one of the first Fly Down show. I got them opening for Goat at House of Targ.
Oh, okay, great.
Long time ago. And that's all. Yeah, and it's just I like meeting people, and I like keeping in touch with them, and it's just easy friendships, where you run into each other, but it's good to know people in the scene and stuff. And who knows how it pays off not pays off, but who knows how we can help each other down the road. It's like now on the new Goat, I just recorded last year. Last year I recorded 14 new Goat songs. Like I said, it's just a recording project now. I'm not doing any live stuff.
Yeah.
But I had Jesse out, and he did some backing vocals on some of the new Goat stuff. And with the new Fly Down stuff,
yeah,
I'm helping them kind of do arrangements and harmony building and that. So it's neat. It's fun.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
A little known fact, I don't think he even realizes this. When I was like trying to form Stoby together,
Mm-hmm.
I was posting songs online, and he messaged me to join the Fly Downs.
Did he?
When they were first starting out, I guess, as a second guitarist. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I don't think he realizes that, but yeah.
Next time I talk to him, which will probably be tomorrow, I'll say, hey, you remember? I've had Goat. My band was always a 3-piece. It was me, guitar and vocals, a drummer and a bass player, and we were always looking for a fourth member guitar player. And we had Sarah Gott. You know the place, the Womb?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is the owner, kind of operator of the Womb.
Wet for Days, right?
Wet for Days, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She was in Goat for 2 times for probably about 3 years combined. The two times in, and when she quit the first time, she moved out to BC. She had some stuff to do, and I actually had Jesse in to audition for the second guitar player. I don't even know why I auditioned him. I'd known him for long. He would have been perfect. But around the same time, Sarah had called. She's like, I'm coming home. Can I join the band? And I was like, of course you can join the band. 'Cause it was just an easier, you know what I mean? It was less work. And I told Jesse, I said, dude, you were the guy, but Sarah's back. And he's like, oh, okay. But he's still at the Fly Downs, right?
Yeah, okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. Sorry, I thought I had something. I don't have anything. I don't want to. Anyway.
No, go ahead. So what are you going to say? What are you going to say?
I can't remember now. No, please.
Oh, no.
Please, wherever you go.
Hey, yeah, I think, yeah. Well, thank you for coming. And
oh, hey, man. That's everything? Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I really was looking forward to doing the podcast, because when you and Rick were on Ego and Vice, great conversation. And it was Sandy who
from Teenage Fiction.
Yeah. Anyway, I said, have you ever heard the Gummy Worm podcast? And he's like, that's my friend Kevin. I do a Weezer show on that.
Yeah, he was over last weekend. Yeah. He was sitting right where you're sitting right now.
Yeah. Okay. But it was cool, and I'm glad we finally got to do it. And thanks for letting me tell the story, because I'm always on the other end of the microphone.
Yeah.
Probably the only things I'd want to promote quickly.
Oh, yeah, go for it. Yeah, definitely.
Are just, I'm also in a band called the Riptides.
Okay, wait. How often do they play shows? The Riptides.
Before the pandemic, it was quite often. We don't do a lot of local stuff. It's more touring.
Okay.
Just over the pandemic, we wrote the new Riptides record. It's about 22 songs.
That's like a double CD or whatever, right?
No, it's punk. It's like pop punk, so it's like 2-minute songs. Two and a bit. It's long. It's long for pop or for punk, I guess. For anything. For 22 songs. I think 18 are going to make the record. It was recorded at the Blasting Room in Colorado.
Wow, you traveled to Colorado to record it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was recorded up there, and it should be out hopefully by summertime. Yeah, so the Riptides will make a grand return.
Oh, wow.
It's been kind of, I won't say a hiatus, but it's been, everyone's older and kids and families and stuff, and we don't need to go out every weekend and play shows anymore because it's too hard, and we try and pick our battles and stuff like that. So that's exciting. And the other thing is I have a new Goat record coming out probably in May.
Okay, nice.
And Ego and Vice is just going to keep plugging along until I have to go snowboarding again.
This might be an odd question to ask, but is it possible that the Riptides played... Wait, how long have you been in the Riptides for?
About 8 years.
Okay, maybe you don't know the answer to this.
Yeah.
They play in Cornwall in the early 2000s, do you think?
Probably. Yeah, they've been around. The band was formed in 98.
Okay.
So this is, they're in their 26th year now.
Okay.
I've been in the band for not that long, so anything before that, I don't know.
Okay.
Sure, I'll say yes.
Okay, all right, cool.
Probably.
I have a funny story, but I won't get into it, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Mike, thank you for coming on. It's awesome.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.